good morning and welcome to another Northlands Daily Devotion. If we haven't met, my name is Tyler. I'm one of the pastors here at Northlands, and for this week I'll be continuing our daily devotions for our times in the morning. This last 7 weeks we've been studying in the book of Acts chapter 2. At the beginnings, the very first church that was launched. In this series that we've been in, we've talked about the different practices that the early church devoted themselves to when it comes to prayer and breaking bread, fellowship, power, signs, and wonders. This week I had the privilege to preach towards the practice of generosity. And I began my message with this picture that I had. When I looked at this series that we've been in, the power of devotion, this picture came to mind from back in my time when I used to work in the staffing industries in the sales world. I used to go to these sales meetings, and each of these meetings were filled with opportunities for just conversations around personal sales or leadership development. And I remember one of the directors one day was leading the conversation, and he gave this picture as we were talking about the difference between managers and leaders. And he said this, and I thought was interesting. He said that for me, managers, their job and responsibility is to help us climb up the ladder of success. Whatever success looks like for you, perhaps in your career or organization, financial success, personal success, or life goals. A good manager's job is to encourage us to climb up each rung of the ladder. Now, for managers, that's a great role to have, to be an encourager, to help people climb up this ladder. But leaders, the responsibility of a leader is to simply ask the question continually, hey, is that ladder, is it leaning up against the right building? And for me, that picture describes why this series was so important. We wanted to ask the question, what are we devoting our lives to? And are we certain that what we are devoting our lives to is beneficial for us, it's life-giving for us? Is it the best that the Lord has intended? For me, if I could just play with that picture, I really want to ask that question for you. Every single one of us, we have a devotional ladder, if you will. Each one of us. This series has been continually provoking the conversation that devotion is not a static thing. Meaning you don't hold on to it and wake up in the morning and say, you know what, today I think I'm going to be a devoted person, so I'm going to give my devotion away. Rather, devotion in our lives is continually being poured out. If I could be your shadow for the week, I guarantee in the first 24 to 48 hours, I could probably start nailing down the things that you are devoting your life to. It's the thing that keeps in the back of our mind. It's the thing that when we fall asleep, we dream about. We give our energy, time, and resources to. We were created to be worshipful beings. For me, if you said, Tyler, what describe for me the word devotion, I would say to give your heart away. And right now, you are giving your heart away to maybe a few things or a whole number of things. You are climbing a ladder of devotion towards something. And for me, I just want to ask the question, hey, where is that ladder leading you? What is it that you are currently giving your time and your energy and your resources to? The Bible makes it incredibly clear that wherever that ladder of devotion is leading, or whatever that ladder of devotion is supported up against, whatever building it's supported up against, it needs to be able to hold the weight of you as you climb. Some things we devote our lives to are very temporary, which means they're not going to matter 20 years, 100 years, 1,000 years from now as we enter into eternity. One day, you and I, we will die in this life for sure, but we will not end because we were made by an eternal God, made up of eternal substance, His very breath, and He set in our heart eternal purposes. Which means if we give our hearts away to temporary matters, if we lean our ladder up against a temporary structure, one day that structure, it will collapse. And when it does, we will be left in the rubble and mess. And yet Jesus makes it incredibly, incredibly clear. He says, hey, if you're hungry, if you're weary, if you're unsatisfied with the climbing of the ladder towards these goals that you have in your heart, whatever that thing may be, put those things aside. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Would you devote yourself to me, and I will fill you? There's this invitation from Jesus every single time when it comes to pouring out our heart and devotion. He's saying, hey, would you lean your ladder up against the rock of ages, the one who holds you secure and steadfast? I love this psalm, Psalm 61, verse 2 and 3. If I could just read it to us, it says this. It says, Psalm 61, verses 2 and 3, rather. It says, from the end of the earth I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Verse 3, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against my foe. For me, I'm going to continually ask the question, especially in the year like we've had in 2020, hey, where is my heart going? Where is my heart leading me? We've said this in this series, that wherever your devotion goes, your heart will follow, your life will follow. And there's an invitation for you and I this morning to continually take our ladder each morning and say, Jesus, I'm going to devote myself to you. I'm going to lean my ladder of devotion up against the rock of ages. Today, I want to leave you with that question. Where is your ladder leaning, and how could you fully lean it to the rock of ages in your own life? With that, blessings, and I'll see you tomorrow.